Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to episode 126 of NerdPod Generations. As always, I am one of your illustrious hosts, Steve Taylor, along with the lovely Al Judson. Hello, sir.
Hello, friends and enemies.
Freshly cleaned.
Yes, fresh out of the shower after a workout. Had a nice little workout this morning, trying to be a good boy.
Took your dog to the park, got him nice and filthy.
Yeah. Oh boy, did he ever get filthy? Yes.
He's a dirty dog.
He had a great time.
Good.
He had a great time playing with a lot of other big dogs,
Which is always good.
And it was kind of like watching your kid play football for the first time.
Yeah.
He just keeps on getting blindsided by some of these bigger dogs, and I'm like, okay, watch your back end, watch your six. Okay, and roll out because they are going to be much stronger than you. So you just got to keep moving because that's the only way you're going to survive.
And I was thinking about when you were talking about that and showing when you posted this stuff on Instagram. Pippin has BDE, but the D doesn't stand for what it normally stands for. He has big dog energy.
Oh yeah,
like he's not a big dog, but I could see him roughhousing perfectly well with dog 3 times his size.
We were talking about that yesterday when he was surrounded by all these big dogs, of just this idea of like he thinks he's a big dog, and a lot of small dogs think that they're big dogs, but in like a get out of my way, respect my territory, I'm not a joke. Pippin thinks he's a big dog in the sense that he just genuinely thinks he's about 60 pounds bigger than he is.
Which the good thing with him is he's dense.
Oh yeah.
So he could hold his own.
Oh yeah.
Against the bigger guys.
We had him put some weight on for that exact reason. And so he's floating right around 30 pounds now.
Yeah, he's nicely sleeping.
Yeah, he got all of his beans out yesterday, let me tell you.
Nice. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, it's been a big week for us. We finally got our new
the new logo is up. Yes,
it looks awesome.
Shout out to Courtney Howell.
She is amazing.
Yes, Court Tattoos things. Follow her on Instagram.
Where's
she did a great job
again? As far as where she does her work,
she is in what's that plaza? The one that's downtown
Village Gate.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know there was a tattoo art parlor in there.
Yeah, it's in the very bottom.
Nice.
Kind of in the back. And she did my pizza night tattoo, and now she has done our logo.
And the logo's fantastic. I'll show people at work, and the fact that she got my face looking exactly like me is insane.
I know. It's incredible.
Like, it's really weird, though. Like, I look at it, and I'm like, that is uncanny.
Yeah.
No, but she did a great job.
No, I'm so impressed. So thank you, Courtney, for doing such a great job.
And because of that, we have updated on our Spotify link, so anytime you go to find our podcast, it is a different logo.
Nerdlinger is gone.
Yes.
Clip art boy.
Which, you know what? He lived a good life.
He had a good run, man.
He gave us, 3 years?
Yeah.
About 3 years.
He stood on that wall.
4 years. It's been almost 4 years now of hanging in there for us.
He was our bannerman for a long time, and it was not really one of those, it was like we all just showed up at the same time, and we were like, we need somebody to wave the flag.
He waved it.
I guess it's him. I don't have anybody else. I'm not going to
half-assed attempt at photoshopping it.
Hey, you did a good job. You did a good job.
But this new logo has been put up, and we're doing the YouTube thing now.
Yes.
Which we have 3 up now so far, which is the 3 segments from last week.
Yeah, so what we're going to be trying to do moving forward, I say trying because it's not always going to be even. Break the show up into 3 sections and then upload them Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
So each section of the show will go up. You can obviously still listen to us in full, wherever you're listening to us now. But you can also go to YouTube and just listen to one segment instead of having to dig through the 2.5 hours.
Which is a great idea, and I thought about it more during the week because we rolled it out last week.
Yeah.
I do watch a lot of podcast segments on YouTube.
Me too.
And where at first I'm like, oh, well, there's no logo, so there's you can't see us, and that at first I thought that was maybe figure out a way to record us. But now I'm thinking about it. When I do listen to the clips, I don't look at my phone.
Yeah.
I'll be doing dishes or something.
Exactly.
So I don't give a shit what's on.
And now we got this beautiful logo for people to look at. And
exactly.
You can kind of explore and try and see all the little things that we put in there. We put a lot of love and a lot of references into it.
Oh, a ton.
My favorite is the 80s style letters for the first letter of each word. But just like that, it reminds me of that WBE whatever from Boston.
Yes.
On PBS.
Well, also I was thinking, do you ever play Blood Dragon, Far Cry Blood Dragon?
No.
Like a DLC of the 3rd game, but it's a kind of a standalone game, and they made it out as if it was like a 80s sci-fi action movie.
Oh.
And the writing is very similar
Yeah.
to some of the things on there, and I was like, that is
Yeah.
a very cool.
I love our logo.
It's
I
awesome.
know we just talked about it, but I just love it. It makes me so happy.
Well, and the good thing about it is because we have a logo now, I am full bore on getting this website up and running, and hopefully by next week we'll have something that we can look at and tweak. And maybe by the end of the month, we'll have a full-fledged website up with links to us and how you can, learn more about us and other things we do.
More stuff.
Yes, a lot of stuff. Because I am trying, once again, to work on... I have 3 different writing projects I'm working on, but I hope I can finish one of them. I've been trying to finish a writing project that's not a one-act play now for... How old's my daughter? 6, so 7 years.
Yeah.
Since my last book was published.
I'm in that same boat of like I'm sitting here trying to be productive, and the one thing that is the biggest thing is I gotta sit down and finish the book.
It's tough.
I've been writing a book for like 3 years. I gotta just sit down and do it.
It's so tough.
Yeah.
And then knowing that once you get that first draft done, then the real fun starts and you have to edit the goddamn thing, which is rewriting 99% of it.
No, you see, I'm going to farm out the editing to someone else. They can tell me all the errors they found, and then I'll go in and fix them. I am not reading this
I'm
book.
not talking grammatical. I'm talking when you go back and reread it after that first draft.
Yeah.
Just story errors is then you send it out for the grammatical.
Yeah.
Because the story error part was like daunting on everything I've ever written. I'm like, God damn it, I got to go back and rewrite this. I got to move this section and move this chapter, and it gets crazy. It's fun stuff.
It's like football. It's fun this week.
No.
Right now, it's fun.
Speaking of which, I have officially deleted Madden from my Xbox.
I don't blame you.
I got so fucking mad at that game for the 50 millionth time that I'm going to make a conscious effort. Like, I wasn't going to watch the Super Bowl this year, but my niece wants to have a Super Bowl party at my brother's house, and so it's like, I can't say no to my niece, so we're going to go over and have a Super Bowl party, so I'll have to watch at least the first half of the game. But... like, I'm going to make a conscious effort. I did this once for like a 3-year span where I didn't play Madden. I really don't want to ever play that game again. It's so bad.
I really seriously, like, the only time I'm going to get a Madden game is going to be next August when the one that has Josh Allen drops in price. I'll get that one, and then I don't think I'll ever buy another Madden game again.
Yeah, it's so bad. Because it has Josh Allen. But then they do these mid-season refreshes, and they change the cover person in the game.
Really?
Because it went from Josh Allen as the one that when you booted it up, he was standing in the selection menu, and then it went to Michael Vick, and now it's Ray Lewis, I believe.
Weird.
Which,
Is
when
Michael
you first
Vick
boot it
still...
up, you still have Josh Allen in, like, the still.
Yeah.
But then when it gets to, like, the menu scene,
yeah,
they change it whenever they do, like, a mid-season refresh.
Yeah, that's weird. I didn't think you could market Mike Vick, even after everything.
And not only is it Mike Vick, it's Atlanta Falcon Mike Vick.
It's classic Mike Vick.
Well, I mean, Ray Allen was potentially a murderer, and he's, once again, Ray, potentially, I said, I don't want you finding me and killing me.
Yeah, no. Which he could.
Oh,
That's not a joke. That's just straight up.
No. I love watching these old videos of people talking about, I saw, what was it? Ocho Cinco thought he would try to blindside Ray Allen on a block, and Allen just knocked him on his ass. Or not Ray Allen, Ray Lewis, I mean. And he goes, I tried to block Ray. It was a bad mistake.
Yeah.
You forget how monstrous that dude was.
I love the clips that go around that are like, oh, if Patrick Mahomes got hit like this, especially there's one of Brady just getting railroaded by the Bills.
Yeah, and his helmet went 50 yards and he jumps up. It's like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, no, I love watching that.
Same thing, dude.
I remember that game exactly. Yes. I know exactly which game that was. Oh, it was a good day.
That's why I laugh every time they say about how, these modern quarterbacks could play in any era. It's like, no you fucking could not.
No, you couldn't.
You take Dan Marino. He would be the number one quarterback probably in this generation.
Joe Montana,
yeah, he was... I think Montana and Elway would be successful, but Marino was more like we don't need a running game. I'm just going to throw it 50 times a game.
Yeah.
And I think he would have 5,000 yards and 60 touchdowns because people forget how good a passer he was. Like, unbelievable passer.
I'll admit I'm fully biased. I will never give Dan Marino props for anything.
Not even the isotonic
I will dig deep enough to be like, hey, Rex Grossman went to just as many Super Bowls as Marino did. So, like, how great a quarterback is he? How great is he?
I know. People have that. They say the same thing about Charles Barkley in basketball.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
He only went to a one
Listen,
finals and
I
lost.
know it's a false equivalency.
Yeah.
I know that's not going to stop me from making the point.
That is true. That is true. Anyways, we got to roll on. So we're going to move on to what have we been watching, playing, reading.
Yes.
I'm going to kick it off real quick with a couple little side notes, and then I want to talk about the big trailer that dropped. Multiple trailers that dropped this week. I have finally, upon his request, very proudly showed my son Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Excellent.
And he loved it.
Of course.
I loved it, and it got to the face-melting, head-exploding scene, and I was looking at him. He handled it.
Good.
The thing, he got a little sketchy with when the ghosts first come out of the Ark,
Yeah.
and there's the beautiful face that turns into, like, the demon.
Yeah.
Freaked him out a little bit, but he hung in, made it to the end. I might still hold off on Temple of Doom, but I was thinking, luckily, since they're not really in a chronological order, I could technically go from this to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull just because it has Marion in it.
No.
I don't want to.
No.
Hey, I showed him the prequels, Rise of Skywalker and The Last Jedi.
That was your first mistake.
I know. But like that and the Dial of Destiny aren't technically... Like the second and third one, you don't necessarily have to show him those two.
You should... we're about to have words.
No.
We're going to go outside after
I'm
this.
saying I don't think he's ready for Temple of Doom, especially. Maybe Last Crusade.
I was about to say, I don't know about Temple of Doom just because like there's the heart and everything.
It's
a lot.
Beating. It's
but
pretty intense.
I think Last Crusade.
Yeah,
I mean,
really.
the scariest thing in Last Crusade is rats on fire and the guy aging at the end, and that's it. There's nothing really horrifying. And meanwhile, you have Cate Blanchett having her brain explode, and Shia LaBeouf swinging through vines, which I think is just as gnarly as anything in Last Crusade.
That's the thing, though. You got to think of it from an 8-year-old's perspective.
No, I don't.
He's gonna love that goofy shit.
No. You are making a classic mistake.
I know.
The most famous of which is Never Begin a Land War in Asia.
Yes.
Slightly less well known. Don't show your child movies you hate because you think they might get something out of it. Bad idea.
I've already done it with 5 movies in the Star Wars franchise.
Then you don't need to go any further.
I can't help it. He wants to, because he sees Dial of Destiny every time he logs on to Disney+.
We can talk about Dial of Destiny, but there is no world in which you should show him Crystal Skull.
It's just, I look at it, even though I don't like it, it's part of the Marion narrative, let's call it. She's in really a 3-film arc.
Oh, barely. I love Marion Ravenwood. Don't get me wrong.
But part of her story arc is she's in the first one.
Yeah.
She gets back with him and is a major component of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Unfortunately.
And then she is his saving grace at the end of Dial of Destiny. It kind of brings his life back into perspective.
It's true.
So it really is the Marion story arc.
But you know what I love about Dial of Destiny? They made it so you don't have to watch Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and you still get everything.
That's true.
Everything that you get.
You
don't need to see a goddamn thing about Crystal Skull. There's nothing in that movie that is worth time or energy. And here's the other thing. You are the guardian of this child. It is your responsibility to help them find good taste. The beginning of that is right now by establishing firm and understandable boundaries between what is okay and what is trash.
Oh, to get on that note, though, I forgot about this part. He was homesick with strep throat this week, and on Wednesday we were both home. I showed him his first MCU movie.
Oh, really? Which one?
Captain America: The First Avenger.
Good.
That's the one you got to start with.
I was about to say, I think that's the best starting
then
place.
Iron Man, then the Hulk, then Thor, then Avengers.
See, I like the chronological walk.
Absolutely.
I think the chronological walk is the best way to do it. I know that they've polluted it now, because you could technically say, well, Shang-Chi, part of that takes place in the past. And you could say, part of Ant-Man takes place in the past.
Part of Black Panther takes place in the past.
This is what I'm saying, is that so many things have been dropped in that now you're like, well, but where is the timeline, and how do I navigate all of this?
Yeah, that's a nightmare.
And so, but I remember leading up to Endgame, doing the chronological walk, and it was so fun.
Yeah.
Because at that point, the waters hadn't been polluted with a bunch of garbage.
But it was great because he loved Captain America.
There's a lot to love.
And then at the end, we did the post-credit scene where it shows the trailer, like the coming of Avengers. He's like, I'm like, we got to watch 3 movies before we can watch that.
Yeah.
Just so you're aware. He's like, okay. So it's like, okay.
Well, 2.5. Well,
You gotta watch 3. You gotta watch 3.
I always go back and forth on Thor.
See, I like the first Thor. Don't love it. I like it.
I like the first Thor. I have honestly, my nitpicky issue is that the story would be better if Hawkeye had a bigger role. If the Destroyer falls to Earth, there's no way Hawkeye is in the state and isn't like, I should go and try and do anything about this. But the color correction, man, it's so bad.
It really
And we're
is.
going to talk about that with one of the movies we're talking about today.
I can't wait to talk
the
about this
color
movie.
correction is just awful. And you can't see anything.
Yeah.
And so, like,
But like to me, it introduced me. I think that's the first thing as a really standout character that I saw Idris Elba in. I can't remember. Actually, did Prometheus come out before that? I can't remember if it came out before that or not.
Well, Thor was 2011.
I don't think Prometheus.
I don't think
though.
Prometheus had come out.
So
yet.
it's like in seeing him as Heimdall, I love him as Heimdall.
I think he was still mostly known for The Wire at that point.
I think so too. And I hadn't seen Luther yet, which I think that might have been once I saw him in Thor, and I was like, I like that actor, I like that character, and then all of a sudden you started seeing him. I saw him in was an American Gangster, but he gets shot in the head by Denzel, but that wasn't. I didn't know who the fuck he was.
Yeah.
And so he's my man crush, and I got introduced to my man crush in Thor. So I can't.
Well, I have a movie for you. Have you seen a little movie called Cats? Because he plays a sexy, slinky little number.
I will never see Cats.
You're missing
I
out.
love musicals. I will never see Cats.
You don't want to see James Corden as the fat cat
No,
about
I hate
town?
James Corden.
What
I
about,
think he's one of the more obnoxious human beings alive right now.
What about children's faces pasted on cockroaches?
Nope.
Nope. Can I interest you?
I've already seen Pink Floyd The Wall. I don't need to say anything
It's
weird.
bad. Cats is one of those few movies where I came in, I was like, this is going to be bonkers. And I sat down and I was like, I still wasn't ready.
No.
I thought I was so ready, and I just wasn't ready. This is stupidly bonkers.
I have people who I trust their judgment when it comes to like more artistic films and musicals, and when they told me don't ever see this movie, I will never see that movie.
Yeah, no, it's not good. It's not a good movie.
All right, so we got to move on to my big crack.
Yes.
This is pure heroin to me this week, and it was Ghostbusters, the Frozen Empire's not only American trailer, but the international trailer, which we just watched before this dropped. This movie looks fucking amazing.
I'm on board.
Holy shit.
I think, like, here's my thing. There is a slight amount. You have to put the salt in the dish and say, listen, they haven't landed this plane the last 3 times they tried to land it. So, like, well, no, that's not fair to Afterlife. Afterlife is better than I remember. I just really wish the ending was completely different.
Yes.
But, like, I look at them doing this again. I'm like, I really want you to do it this time. I think you actually have it. You seem like you know what you're doing. You have everything with Winston going on, and you have everything. Dan Aykroyd's character, Ray. I'm very curious. I also found it interesting that the international trailer downplayed Bill Murray so much.
Yeah.
And
but
which isn't bad.
It really downplayed all the OG Ghostbusters, which they were like a major...
I thought it actually played up Winston
which
compared to the American one. Yeah.
Because he was downplayed so much in the original first Ghostbusters. Second one, he had a
bigger role.
But I hope he's like the driving force behind the Ghostbusters.
It seems like he's the Nick Fury.
Yeah.
He's put all this together. He's found all these resources. Awesome. And he's brought in all these scientists to help. I love the idea that they've started partnering with the ghosts to try and better learn things. Because that was always one of those things that, like, back at the beginning of the internet, everybody would talk about it and be like, are the Ghostbusters really that different from the Tea Party? Because it seems like they don't want federal regulations. They want to just do whatever they want, and they have these crazy dangerous weapons, and they don't really think about what they're doing. They just want to be left alone to do what they say is necessary. And I was like, it's not the worst argument I've ever heard.
Well, in the 80s, like, they were definitely a product of the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the A-Team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, we're going to do what we want and we're going to save people, but we're going to do it our way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a product of the 80s.
But one of the things that I was excited for is that the man with no dick is back.
Yes!
And he's like the mayor.
Yes!
Which I am like,
Walter
great.
Peck.
Awesome. This is awesome. Yes.
Yes.
Did you get that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I love it. When he started talking in the first trailer, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. William Atherton. I mean, I was happy because there's been a lot of people, R.I.P. Carl Weathers this week.
Yeah, that
There's
just
been a lot of people
happened.
that have been dying recently.
Yeah.
And to remember that William Atherton is still alive actually was like...
I thought he was dead. I genuinely thought he was dead. Because I figured he would be in things.
Because he was like in his 40s, maybe late 40s in the OG Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Same with Real Genius. It's like... Yeah. He was not a young guy, and now he still looks pretty good.
Anybody who has never seen Real Genius, go and find it.
Oh yeah,
it's a very interesting movie. I love that movie. The main character, I think, is like, they don't address it this way, but you could make an argument that the main character is gender neutral, because like they are so anti-masculine in a lot of ways. They don't even look like a boy.
He was anti-masculine, but he did they made it try, like he really wanted to get with women.
Yeah.
And so they made that, like, I think they just found a person who, like, really laid into that. Like, you believe this person is a nerd that doesn't leave.
Yeah.
And it just happened that he had very effeminate quality. Especially next to Val Kilmer, who was like David Lee Roth in that movie. You know what I mean? Like banging everything and did everything.
Yeah, freezing the floor of the entire dorm.
Exactly. I love that fucking movie.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
Stop playing with yourself, Kent.
I love the popcorn at the end. I love the...
popcorn's great.
I love the weird, creepy guy in the closet.
Holyfeld.
Yeah.
Laszlo Holyfeld.
Yeah.
No, every time I hear Tears for Fears now, I think about that ending in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, back to Frozen Empire, though. I'll tell you, the thing that has me almost equally as excited as seeing that they are melding the old and the new generation, it seems like, from the beginning of this film, and it's not going to be like the Ghostbusters showing up at the end type of deal. It's like they're actually going to be a part of the storyline throughout. I love Patton Oswalt.
I was gonna say, I'm so happy he's here. Like, they had this cameo with Camille Nanjiani, and I'm like, okay, all right, fine, whatever. But then Patton shows up, and I'm like, we are fucking in, kids.
And he looks like he could become a regular.
Yeah.
Which, dude,
he fits that Ghostbusters mold so well.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited.
Yeah. And like, he is like he's kind of as close as you can get to like a modern day nerd god, like even if you go back to the Parks and Recreation speech he gave where he was talking about what he thought the next first Star Wars movie was, actually Book of Boba Fett and all that, and like a lot of his story beats up until
Thanos
comes and all that, integrating Marvel into it. He was pretty spot on.
He was very close.
To that. Once a year I'll watch that stuff because it was so brilliant.
Well, for me, it always goes back to one of his early stand-up comedy specials. He's talking about Jesus' superpowers.
Yes.
And he's like, this is the weirdest group of superpowers. So you have like the necromancer powers, and you can't die, and you bring people back to life. Awesome. And then you can take a little bit of food and make it into a lot of food.
What did he call the X-Men? Hamburger Joe?
Sandwich Joe.
Sandwich Joe, that's what it was.
Do we need Sandwich Joe? I feel like we don't really need him anymore.
Oh, it's fucking brilliant. I love it. But yeah, so I'm completely on board with this movie. Without a doubt. I am preparing a list to them to bring next week for potential watch and reviews that we'll have for this coming.
I should also do that. Yeah,
I think we should do that and then compare.
Yeah.
This is 1,000% on that list.
I think so, and it has one of those special earmarks. The time of year has changed over my life for when you kind of look and you can gauge, this is coming out now, it's probably going to be bad. This is coming out now, it's probably going to be good. So like the very first movie of May, usually pretty good. Not always. I remember when Wolverine Origins came out, and that was the first weekend of May, baby. It used to be that movies in April were terrible, but that's kind of changed now.
It changed a lot with the MCU, with some of their better ones coming out the beginning of May, end of April.
You had January is still the graveyard. There's nothing good in January unless it's an Oscar movie that is finally hitting wide release. And March is now July 1.0.
It's fucking huge.
And it's the first series of blockbusters of the year come out in March now. And some of my favorite movies of the last few years have come out in March. And I'm just like, Ghostbusters comes out at the end of March. This could be really good, kids.
Yeah. No, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I can't fucking wait. So what do you got going on, buddy?
So I did finally watch Gentlemen.
Nice.
I do like that movie.
Great movie.
It is, I will say, it has that English roguish racism all the way through it. So if that's gonna be a bother for you, be aware of that. But I do love just kind of the grime, the clean grime of that movie, where everything and everyone is so prim and taken care of, and there's some really cool stuff like the smokeless barbecue and all this other stuff, but everything is gross and terrible. But I just love the flow and the way that movie builds and crescendos. And it's definitely the best role Hugh Grant has ever had, period.
It is, except sometimes his voice got a little grinding on me.
He's so gross, and that's like the point.
Gross.
The point is that he's supposed to be this gross guy. He's as gross as watching Eddie Martin scratch his own ass.
Yeah.
Like, listening to Hugh Grant talk, you're like, I hate the way this guy talks.
But it's funny you said that, because the guy that plays off him, I think this is the best Charlie
Hunnam role.
Anything he's ever done.
Well, and he does this really nice thing. There is one moment where it breaks, but they kind of do it for effect, where they imply that he's very prim about everything, and everything has to be just so, but they never put a label on it until he has to go to the junkie house.
Yes.
And then he starts getting this twitch in his eye, and Matthew McConaughey's like, I don't fucking care about your OCD. You're going to get over it, and you're going to go do this job for me. And that was like the only time that they put a label on it. And like the rest of the movie, you can kind of pick up those seeds as you're going and understand that this is kind of the feel of what's happening.
But I like how you put that. It's true. It's like he's prim and proper, but he has that underlying feeling that he can be extremely dangerous when necessary. Yeah. And that is very well done.
That's one of my favorite moments, is when they're outside doing the barbecue, and he's like, do you want a steak? If you're going to be here and be a pain in my ass, do you want a steak? And he uses this as an excuse to go in and call the boys and everything. But you go in, and he opens up this freezer, and there's just this dead Russian kid in it. And you're just like, that's right, this guy's a gangster. Yeah. I forgot.
Yeah. That was such a great scene.
I love Colin Farrell in that movie.
Oh, he's
his
fantastic.
Whole thing is so good.
And this is the best thing, is when I saw this last year, I had just seen the Batman, and I said, I think his Penguin is my favorite character he's ever played. Until I saw this, I was like, fuck.
I just love when he's in the sandwich shop, and the
boys,
the little roughers come in, and he's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Are you going to stab me, or are you going to dance? What are we doing? And I just love... I love the reveal at the end where his boys think they're going to do him a favor and kill his mob boss, and instead accidentally save the mob boss,
which is amazing.
And it just crescendos really well. It's everything dovetails really well. There's a few moments where you're like, wait a minute, what happened? I was watching really closely, and yet I feel like I missed something. But I really enjoyed it. Good. It was really good. I did want to touch on, first and foremost, not foremost, there's a few things that are coming out. Sonic 3 is dropping.
Which Jim Carrey is back, which a lot of people were wondering since he said he retired.
Idris Elba and everything. Yep. They have a quote-unquote trailer out, which is not a trailer.
Yeah, no.
Megamind has a new movie coming out, which I don't understand. And it looks terrible. Yeah. Not just in the sense that the writing looks bad and the acting isn't great. The actual animation is atrociously bad.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what happened.
Like, back in the day, this would have been like Return of Jafar direct to DVD movie.
Like, I don't know what's going on with this or what DreamWorks executive said, it's okay, we can put this out. It looks so bad.
Yeah,
it looks so bad. But I did want to mostly touch on the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
So good.
Which is Henry Cavill, our boy, Henry Cavill, going out, sticking his tongue out, and doing ungentlemanly things in the name of the British Empire for Prince Wesley, of all people. But I like this. This is Matthew Vaughn.
Yes.
And guy that did Kingsman.
Argyle, which is coming out.
Argyle, Kick-Ass, a bunch of other stuff. So I'm very interested in this. This looks like a lot of fun. This looks like kind of an anti-Mission Impossible. And if it's anything like The Kingsman, the third one with Ray Fiennes,
which
is great,
awesome.
I think that this
Go
could
back
be
and listen
amazing.
to our past episode on that.
Yeah. But I think this could be a lot of fun. I'm very hopeful for this. I just want this to be stupid fun.
Yeah.
Nothing serious. Just kind of like somewhere between a Magnificent Seven and a Dirty Dozen.
Yes.
You know?
And I love Henry Cavill so much, which makes me excited about this. Because I think he's underappreciated as an actor because people saw him as like Superman. They see him as
They think
as
that he's just this
Geralt.
character actor,
Yes.
Superboy, where he just gets muscular and that's all he does.
But like you could see in this trailer a little bit, some of his comedic timing
Yeah.
is so well done that you're like, this guy really
Yeah.
is just super talented.
I haven't seen all of it, but I watched some of Enola Holmes with Kelly.
It's good. The first and second one. The second one he's in more of.
And that timing you get to see.
Yeah.
Especially when they're starting to realize, like, oh, our cases are the same case. It has similar feels to Donna and the doctor looking
Yes.
at each other through the window and being like, what are you doing here?
That was the only thing I wasn't. And it's not his performance I didn't like. He's just such a massive person to be Sherlock Holmes. You don't envision Sherlock Holmes as like The Rock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so seeing Henry Cavill in this suit and he's just this massive
This
fat
big
dude,
guy.
you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Look, Robert Downey Jr. boxing, but when he puts his clothes on, he still looks like a scrawny guy.
And when you see him boxing in that one scene, he's boxing against a guy that's much bigger than him.
Yes.
So it also, you know, like Robert Downey Jr. is a little bigger than I am, so he's probably like 5'9". But like when you see him up against somebody who's 6'4", 250, 300
shows him
pounds.
using his strategy.
Exactly,
abilities, yeah.
exactly.
No, this movie looks awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this.
This movie looks really
And Matthew
awesome.
Vaughn has that same kind of Guy Ritchie energy
Yep.
of like, it's going to be dirty, it's going to be grimy, you're going to feel kind of bad about some of the things you see, but oh boy, it's going to be fun.
The only thing that I'm concerned about with Matthew Vaughn, and it's just something I heard about Argyle, is I heard a review on Argyle, and they said, you know, it's Matthew Vaughn through and through, but kind of like the issues you have with some of his movies, he overutilizes CGI, and the CGI does not look good.
Yeah.
And so that kind of, like this movie that we're talking about with Cavill, it's more of a period piece.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping there's less of a need for where Argyle is more fantastical.
Yeah.
So I can understand why you would need to use CGI in more scenes. Same with Kingsman. But that's my only concern. Is
Yeah.
he does utilize that a little too much.
It can be a little heavy, especially like I remember in Kick-Ass, the moments when you have to have a CGI thing happen, you're kind of like, okay, this is fine, but it's still not as good or as enjoyable as like, so I'm thinking of the jetpack at the end versus Hit Girl going down the hallway. These are two moments at the climax of the movie, one of which needs a ton of CGI, the other of which is just practice and effort. And I think the practice and effort one is more engaging, although the CGI jetpack is a great reveal. It is a great moment of like, fuck yeah.
The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. I got confused. I've been so on a Matthew Vaughn craze. This is directed by Guy Ritchie.
Is it directed by Guy Ritchie?
It's directed by Guy Ritchie.
Okay.
I knew that, and I was talking about Matthew Vaughn, thinking about Matthew Vaughn, and when you brought up Matthew Vaughn, I just kept thinking about Matthew Vaughn.
Well, I also thought it was Matthew Vaughn, if it's any
It
consolation.
is a Guy Ritchie movie, and I also want to bring up Alan Ritchson, who plays Reacher in the Amazon show, is a major part of this, and I can't wait, because I fucking love that guy.
Yeah.
And he is, imagine Henry Cavill in that Mission Impossible movie he was in, but twice the size.
Yeah.
And that's what Alan Ritchson is. So
Well,
I'm excited for him in this movie.
My favorite thing about him, he's a wrestler, right? He must be like an
No,
ex-wrestler
no,
or something.
He's just been an actor his whole career.
Really?
Yep.
He's just a big guy?
He's just a massive dude.
Yeah, because he has like big wrestler energy of somebody who's been
Well,
lifting weights for a living.
Showing him in movies prior to when he got the Reacher show, he was a big guy, but he was nowhere near but when he got Reacher, he said, I know I got to get huge.
Yeah.
And he built a gym in his house, and all he does is work out.
Wow.
Now. And he's a monster.
See, like that's what I appreciate, because like that's the dream, right? We've seen that with Dredd. We call it the Carl Urban law.
Yes.
Of like, if you're gonna be a character, you have to be the character. You can't be some version of the character who shows his face all the time or is very worried about them being seen. I always go back to Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 2, where for some reason he decided to show us all what it looks like when he really needs to shit. And I'm just like, man, you could have just kept the mask on. It would have solved all these problems if you just kept the mask on. I love that he came in and like after everything with Tom Cruise was like, look, let's actually have this character.
No, he said something great in an interview. I know this is a huge tangent, folks. He gave Tom Cruise all the credit because he said, if he never made that movie, do you really think this TV show would exist?
Also true.
He goes, it got the name out there and gave me the opportunity. And what I really appreciated, going off of what you said, is he looks at this as, this is my show. And I will do this as long as they want me to do it because this is mine. I am Jack Reacher, and I will, this is my career starting off point, and I appreciate it. And it's like, that's so good.
That's the dedication I want to see because like Carl Urban does that, where he's just like, I am not here to make my face more famous. I am here to play this character. Yep. And oh man, I wish more people did that. I just want a Spider-Man movie where they never take off the mask. When he's like in the costume, he never takes off the mask. Like I just want one.
I don't think we're ever.
It's never gonna happen.
It's never gonna happen.
Never. Listen, there will never be any superhero product of any kind where, for some reason, the superhero is fully in their costume, sans mask.
Yeah.
It will never happen. That will be in every superhero thing forever, and not like in a secret meeting. We all know each other's identities, so we don't need to have the masks on. I am somewhere where there are 1 million security cameras, and it definitely can't in any way impact my life to suddenly take off my mask that is supposedly protecting me from causality to any of my actions.
I agree.